Good afternoon. Well, it's afternoon here where I'm recording this, and perhaps when you're watching this will be afternoon. If not, hello, and I'm looking forward to teaching you in our History 11-12, which is World Civ 2. This is the syllabus for the asynchronous online course, which means we don't meet in person or via Zoom. So basically, you're doing most of this all on your own. So, my name is Farrah Driver. I am your instructor for this. I am not averse to meeting with you guys, any individual or group of you that want to meet via Zoom. We can totally do that. The big thing, though, of course, is that you have to get in touch with me. And since we don't have a standard meeting time, I am normally around and available on Wednesday afternoons, but you will have to email me ahead of time if you want to talk to me via Zoom. The best, in fact, the only way for you guys to actually get in touch with me is through the GGC email. Now, you may read the syllabus. I don't have any intentions of going through all of it all the way through, but I do want to hit a bunch of the high points on it that you need to know. As you will notice, it's 17 pages long, which is really annoying, but that's because this is a legally binding contract. Your continued presence in the course means that you agree to it by default. It also, though, because it's a contract, involves not just me and you. That'd be too easy. That'd be about 5 pages of the 17-page document. Instead, though, it also involves the School of Liberal Arts, the History Department, and GGC itself, which is why there's a lot of redundancy in it, especially the parts on plagiarism and academic integrity. You get that from me, from the department, from the School of Liberal Arts, and from GGC itself. This is a pretty big deal. So instead of me going through all of it, I encourage you to read it all and to read it in detail to understand what your obligations are to each of the other 3 parties involved. But mostly I want to hit the parts involving you and me, and some involving you, me, and the history department, especially since this semester, History 11-12, Civ 2, has been chosen to be part of the accreditation process necessary. So we have a couple of new things that we have to do. So this is going to be kind of fun. It's required me to revise the syllabus, to do a few different things, which I think in the long run will actually benefit you. For those of you who have read my Rate Your Professor things, you know that I can be kind of demanding. I definitely require you to learn some history. But some of the things I want to do with this exact program um, are actually kind of fun, and I think they'll make it a little bit easier overall for those of you who want to stick with it. So with that in mind, again, I'm going to skim through this. I don't want to take up a lot of time for you, but I want to be sure we hit, again, the high points. Probably the first and foremost thing here under communication, you have to get in touch with me through GGC. The schools, well, actually, the state of Georgia was hacked about 5 or 6 years ago, one of those ransomware things. And because of that, they no longer allow any of us to respond to any email that does not come through the various safety nets going on with the technology itself. So you must communicate with me through GGC's email. I cannot open anything that comes from anywhere else, so please do that. Also, because this is an online course, any changes I make to it, I will send to you via GGC email, and I will also try to announce them in the announcement page of our homepage, and I'll actually do a little video later showing you how to operate that. All right, so expectations of students, obviously, since this is an online course, you got to have access to a computer. There are computer labs on the GGC campus if you are living or have access to GGC. If not, I encourage you, if you don't have your own computer, to either check things out in a library, find a way to rent one, do something like that, because pretty much everything we're doing through the GGC interface. You need to check your GGC email regularly. You need to be prepared for weirdnesses. I will, as always, check in with you if something happens. But since this is asynchronous and we don't have a regular meeting time, then you don't actually have to worry about meeting with me at a specific time. So that makes it much easier for you. Everything you submit to me will be done through the My Courses bright space page again, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. All right, the core impacts, these are all things from the history department. I encourage you to look through those because they're going to tell you a lot about how the focus of this is going to be. We're going to be working a lot with what's called critical thinking. And in fact, throughout this course and throughout the syllabus, I have the acronym CTE, which means critical thinking exercise. And you're going to be required to do a minimum of 4 of those for the course. I encourage you to do more since those, as well as the discussions, I'm picking your highest grades by the end. You'll have multiple opportunities to do them. I encourage you to do as many as you possibly can. All right. So again, we'll be meeting, well, we won't be meeting at all. If we do meet, we can meet through Zoom. We can set up a time to do that, but that'll be entirely something that we'll be scheduling independently between you and me if you need it. You do need to have the Respondus Lockdown browser, Respondus Monitor on your computers. By the time we get to the end of the course, you have one timed test. That is the final exam, which will be at the end of the semester. Otherwise, everything else will be done via the discussions, the project that you will have due to me, and the little papers that will be due in the interim to get to that. So the course description, this is a world history course. Fortunately for you, it covers basically from the 1400s to the present. So it literally does come all the way up to where we are right now, which is good because that's going to help you with determining what you're going to do for that final project. Your course resources, you are required to have one textbook, and it can be any of these 4, not all 4. Please do not email me and ask me where you're supposed to get all 4. You only need one of these 4. The course structure is set up or mirrored in the Ways of the World source book, textbook by Strayer and Nelson. And as an academician, as an historian, I refer to the textbooks by the authors' names, so please bear that in mind. If you go to the bookstore on campus, they're going to have Ways of the World, though I will be honest, I don't know if they have the one with sources, which is the one I want. I want you to have access to primary sources. So all of the ones I have listed here are ones that come with sources. And again, what that means is primary sources. So you may choose whichever one is cheapest. And I'll actually tell you which one is cheapest. This one right here, the Cordos, is cheapest. This one right here, because it is available for free right there at OpenStax. I encourage you to get that. But it doesn't have a lot of primary sources. It references some primary sources and it links you to some primary sources, so you're welcome to use that. If you actually want a page book, a hard copy book, one with pages and page numbers, then I would say get Ways of the World. You're going to want volume 2 because this is the second half of World Civ, so you're going to want the volume 2 in any of these. Ways of the World with Sources volume 2 by Strayer and Nelson, or Patterns of World History with Sources volume 2 by von Sivers et al., or Traditions and Encounters with Sources volume 2 edited by Bentley, or again, the Cordos. Now, no matter which one you choose, starting the course this week, if you do not have or cannot get in a timely manner Strayer, Nelson, von Sivers, or Bentley, then you must use Cordos because we are going to hit the ground running. We open up the first week with the first discussion, which is mandatory. You must post in it. This is how I take attendance, especially for the asynchronous classes. So if you can't get one of the others that you want before the first discussion is due, then you must use the Cordos. And again, I don't care if you use the Cordos the entire semester. I like it. It's a really good book, and it is free. So use whichever one you want, but there is no excuse for not posting in the first discussion because you don't have a textbook, because you have this one right here. And it is readily available to you at that web link, right? You will also be using in the course 2 secondary sources, Frankopan and Harari. I have posted the chapters you need for those online already. So you don't have to buy those books. Um, I have the chapters lined up in the appropriate weeks for when you'll be using this. You will also, though, because of the nature of the final project, need a news feed, a written news feed, not videos, not the stuff that you see online or on television. We are not doing those because those are notably biased and predisposed towards drawing advertisers. So they're trying to say stuff in them or to skew the information in such a way as to shock you and to make you want to watch more. Therefore, the news feed that you need for this course needs to be a written one. I have an Apple phone, and the Apple News is a wonderful, varied news feed. You can get information from a variety of different sources available and free through it. I assume those of you who have Samsungs or devices that utilize either Chrome as an operating platform or Android also can parse through a news feed of written sources. These are going to be things that are off of newspapers or out of news magazines, etc. You must have one of those, and you need to have access to it now because we're going to start working with that right now. In week 4, you have your first actual assignment other than a discussion or critical thinking exercise due, and that will be your proposal for your final project. All right. All right, any other resources I'll post for you on D2L. Your course goals and outcomes, again, this is from the history department and from the School of Liberal Arts, the things you're supposed to be doing. Grading is the standard GGC grading structure. A 90 to 100 is an A, an 80 to 89 is a B, a 70 to 79 is a C, 60 to 69 is a D, and anything below a 60 is effectively failing. All right, so the grading percentages, you will have a mixture of discussions and critical thinking exercises. There we go. There's that CTE thing again. I will be picking the top ones of the grade. So I encourage you to submit as much as you can in both the CTEs and the discussions. Now in weeks 1 and 2, you will only have discussions and they will be mandatory again because that's how I take attendance. And by the end of week 2, if you have not participated in one of those discussions, then you will not be counted as effectively coming to the course, and thus you will be dropped from the course. And if you have not participated in those first 2 discussions, I will not let you back in the class. Please don't ask me. It'll not be worth your time or mine. It is mandatory that you attend these classes, even if it is asynchronous and online. You have to participate each week. So you have to participate in the first 2 discussions in order to be counted as attending the course for the purposes of scholarship or financial aid. If I drop you from the course, it will impact your financial aid. So you want to be sure you're doing those things. I count the top 10 grades from your top 6 discussions and your top 4 CTEs. Those are 5% each. They'll count for a total of 50% of the course. The annotated bibliography, which is due in week 10. That is basically demonstrating to me the outline of your final project, the sources you're going to be using for it. That is 15%. The final project itself is 20%, and your final exam, which is a cumulative essay-based exam, is 15% as well. So that should give you a total of 100%. Late work policy, 10% per day after the deadline, unless you have been in touch with me prior to the deadline and explain to me why something is going to be late, and that is a valid reason. Valid reasons are those that the university accepts: illness, emergency, family crisis, any of the things that the university accepts are valid excuses. The only thing is you have to let me know prior to the deadline why something is going to be late. All right. That mitigates the 10% per day, but otherwise it's 10% per day. So the assessment tools, you must address a minimum of 6 discussions and 4 CTEs. I encourage you to do more of each so that I can pick the highest of the grades from them, since those cumulatively count 50% of your grade, that's a pretty big chunk. So you're going to want to try to do as many of those as you can. For discussions, your top post is due by Thursday at midnight of each week. And our weeks, by the way, are going to run Tuesday to Monday. The reason I do that is so that we have Monday as the decompression point, and because it gives you through the weekend to get stuff in. Top posts are due for discussions on Thursday. Peer responses, of which you need 3, substantive, are due on 3 different days from Thursday through Monday, which effectively means that if you're one of those people who has to work weekends, then you post your top post on Thursday by midnight, then you can turn around and immediately respond to somebody else who has posted. That gives you Thursday, Friday, and Monday as the 3 days you can do your peer responses. If you do have time over the weekends, that's another 2 days. So it's substantive peer responses over 3 different days from effectively Thursday, whenever you post, until Monday at midnight. The idea, of course, is to basically create discussions and dialogues to keep things going. What you want to do with those peer responses is try to include information that you did not have in your top post, because what I'm going to do when I grade them is copy and paste your top post and then all of your peer responses under it, and I'm going to be evaluating what your overall knowledge is. So effectively 30% of your post is the top post itself. The other 3 points or 60% is going to be your top post. The other 40% is effectively going to come out of your peer responses, which will give you some time to add in new stuff or to think about things in different ways and respond that way. I will also respond to every top post, and answering me will also help, because what I'm going to do is try to guide you towards including those things that you might have left out of your top post, either questions you didn't address or sourcing you didn't put in there or whatever. So the critical thinking exercises will be due on Saturday evenings by midnight. You are not required to respond to those, but because those are worth 5 points, I will grade them a little more seriously, right? All right. Again, attendance is taken by participation in the weekly discussions or the CTEs. If you don't submit something in a week, you didn't attend for that week, and you don't want to be doing that, because I get to drop you after so many weeks of non-attendance. In the first 2 weeks, it is mandatory that you post. Otherwise, I report you as a no-show. Emailing me doesn't count. Only participating in the course actually counts towards participation. After the midterm, or after the point of the midterm, which is in October, I will begin to post extra credit opportunities as well, but that's for those people who stay with me, right? All right, so here's the course structure. This first week, mandatory discussion 1, you must post by Thursday with peer comments due by Monday. And I'll show you again in a different video how we actually operate the web page, but everything here is set up already. In week 4, by that September 9th, that Monday, you must have submitted to me in the Dropbox that I will be setting up the topic for your, or the what you want to do for your final paper or project. It is due, well, I've got midnight Saturday. I'll actually make it midnight on Monday, but you want to have that in. And it is a proposal. You're proposing to me what you want to do. So I will be going over that as we get closer to it. I'm not going to take up time right now doing that. But definitely week 4 is the final project proposal. Week 7 is your list of sources, which must include a minimum of 6 secondary sources and 3 primary sources. And again, we'll talk more about that as we get closer to it. Midterm grades are due on October the 3rd, and you have until October the 7th to withdraw. If you don't know what withdrawing means, let me do this shortly. In the first week, you meet the classes. That's this coming week, August the 12th, starting on Monday, August the 11th. For our purposes, August the 12th through that Friday. If you decide after viewing this video and talking about the syllabus and what we're doing that you find this too intensive and you want to drop it, then you drop before 5 p.m. on Friday of this week. You have to do it before 5. That's the registrar's rule, not mine. I think you can do it through Banner. I'm not certain, but I think you can. You can just drop the course. It will not show up as anything. It will never show up on your transcript, not as an attempt, not as anything. But let's say then you go on through the first 2 weeks and you attempt the course, you keep doing the stuff, you're in it through the end of September. I send you back what I currently have as your grades, which won't be many because by that point in time, we will not even have done the annotated bibliography. So all I'm going to be having are your discussions and your CTEs, right? Your list of sources and your um, proposal, right? You get to, let's say, October the 1st when I send your grades back and you're not happy with your grade and you decide the work is just too much and you drop the course, it will show up on your transcript as an attempt to take this course, but it will not count towards your overall average because you withdrew from the course. The only thing it counts for is that, as with most schools, there are only so many times you can attempt to take a course before you're listed as failing it. So you don't want to keep signing up for Civ 2 and keep dropping it. You don't want to do that. In fact, I think most schools don't let you do that more than 3 times, and then they basically tell you that you're going to get an F for the course regardless. So that's where you want to be careful with that sort of thing, the number of times you would attempt and withdraw from a course. Um, it will at that point show up on your transcript as an attempt, but it will not go towards your GPA. Where it goes towards your GPA is if you wait literally until the last day of class on December 2nd, and then you drop the course. And that is the last day you have to drop the course. After that, you can't. It'll be a failing grade at that point, and that will definitely go towards your GPA. So that's the way the withdrawal system works if you don't know it. Again, for our purposes, your annotated bibliography is due in week 10. Your final projects are due in week 14. Thanksgiving break is November 24th to December 1st. The last day of classes is December 2nd, which is a Monday. So effectively, our last week of classes, we actually kind of are going to wrap up prior to Thanksgiving. So at that point in time, it's going to be all going forward. All you'll have for me after that will just be the final, which will be due by midnight on December the 8th. Again, it will be a timed exam and it will be all essay questions. It will cover the entirety of the course, totally cumulative, and we will talk about that obviously as we get closer to it. Final grades are due by noon, December the 13th. All right. So here are your important dates. Again, your classes begin. Drop add session for us ends, as I just said, on Friday, August the 18th. That's the last day to drop the course by 5 p.m. September the 2nd, Labor Day is a holiday. It doesn't really, well, it kind of impacts us, but you'll have until Tuesday to finish up whatever we're doing that week. Midterm grades due October the 3rd, and then October the 7th is your last day to withdraw with a W again by 5 p.m. So, all right. School of Liberal Arts, these are the things you need to understand from them about what you're doing. And I'll point out academic integrity, use of Turnitin, no AI in this class. Do not use ChatGPT. Do not use any of those things. Because if I see it once, and Turnitin has a really, really good program for detecting AI. If I see it once, you're going to get a 0 on that assignment, and if I see it twice, I'm going to take you to the Office of Academic Integrity because I do not tolerate that. I also don't tolerate plagiarism, cheating of any kind, so just be clear on that now. One of the things that you will have is a document called How and When to Cite that explains how and literally when to cite using APA, which is a reasonably easy form of citation. It is required in everything that you're going to submit to me. And that means internal citation, giving credit to people, authors that you've read at the end of any sentence where you've used their ideas, even if you put it in your own words. So these are examples of plagiarism. Again, directly quoting without appropriate citation, paraphrasing without appropriate citation, which is a lot of people do. They assume that, well, I didn't quote them, but it doesn't matter. If you use their ideas or their information, you have to give them credit by citing them. Right? All right, I encourage you to read through these. I'll go over these at some point as well. Student resources, most of these you should be familiar with and know already. But if not, again, I encourage you to read through these. Disability services, Kaufman Library, all of these wonderful fun things that you can use. Again, Georgia Gwinnett itself has a statement itself of academic integrity. Obviously, we take this very seriously. It's not enough that you're getting it just from me and from the history department and from the School of Liberal Arts. You get it from the college as well. So we take this very, very seriously. All right, attendance policy again. You definitely the first 2 weeks, you have got to be submitting to those discussions. All right, so that's pretty much what I want to do with this. Again, I encourage you to read through all of this. For myself, I've hit the points I need to hit for us. I'm going to upload this video and then I will do another one basically showing you how to manage our D2L page in case you can't get to it. It's pretty straightforward so that you know what we're doing. If you have any questions about this, email me. Again, right there, fdriver@ggc.edu. Feel free to email me, or you can go into our Brightspace course and you will have an email roster as well. You can just click on me. It actually says instructor beside it, and you can email me through that. So if you have questions, let me know. If there's something in here you want more explanation of, let me know. I look forward to seeing you in class and in our first discussion.